All right. Welcome to day 4 of World Seagrass Day. And we are, for the new viewers, we are celebrating the World Seagrass Day, talking about dugong conservation and habitat restoration. And we have, this is, this, the theme is basically intended to cover and popularize science from the Southeast Asian region. So we have had talks from Thailand and Malaysia, and today we have the honor and privilege of talking to Dr. Balaji. Um, so, as I have always mentioned, we'll first give short contextual session to introduce the topic that Dr. Balaji is going to talk on, the region, and the introduction will be done by our own Arun Sarkar. He is a MSc from he's an MSc from Trichy. Uh, from Bharati Dasan University, and Arun has been here active in the Park Bay and Gulf of Mannar region, working closely with community and for dugong conservation. And so I'll just get Arun here, and we could continue with our presentation, followed by Dr. Balaji's presentation, which we have been anticipating for a very long time. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. Brilliant.
Hello. Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Hi, I am Arun Shankar. I'm working as a project associate in the Kamba Dogong project. So today we are here in the last day session of the World Seagrass Day webinar. So before starting to the main section, I will talk a small brief about the work which we have done in the Tamil Nadu in association with the communities. So our project title is Recovery of Dugongs and Their Habitats in India, an integrated participatory approach. So in the name itself, it is mentioned that it's like a combined uh, engagement of the communities, departmental stakeholders, researchers, and scientists all together for the recovery of this marine mammal dugong. So I will give a brief about the community engagement work which we have done in the Tamil Nadu over the years from 2016 to 2025, and it's still going on. So as we start, so our primary objective was to understand about the abundance and the distribution of dugongs in India, and also about to know about their threats, what all threats they are facing, what all are their critical habitats, their critical dugong hotspot and seagrass areas. These all are the things which we had to know. So as a starting, so we have to get knowledge about the dugongs there. So initially, was very difficult to get communicate with the locals and the fishermen communities. So as a initiative, we started a dugong scholarship program, which is like providing an financial aid for the education of the students from the fishing community. So we selected students in the fishing communities across the schools in our study area and give them financial aid for the education purpose. So through that, we got a connection with the parents who are working in the fishing sector. So gradually, we build up that communication and interaction, and from them, we have built a network called Dugong Volunteers Network, or also called as Friends of Dugong. So through them, we got to know more about where the dugongs are sighted because they used to encounter dugongs daily. So where are the dugongs are mostly sighted? Live sightings where they are used to get stranded. It's like that we start to get more information about dugongs, and also gradually we also give them the GPS coordinates to locate, like if they have sighted the dugongs to locate the area. So gradually we get a more data about the dugongs and the critical hotspots. So from that, uh, so we got the major dugong hotspot area. You can see the map here. So this is from the questionnaire surveys and the communication which are done through the community outreach and awareness program. We got this data, and from this we got to know where are the dugongs are mostly seen. And as a part of it, on September 21, 2022, a dugong conservation.
I think your slides are Wait a second. Hmm. Where is your slide? Hmm. It's okay. Let's start again. I think there's some problem with that. Okay.
I hope you can see the screen now. So,
Yeah. Good. So, hmm. Hmm. फिर से क्या जा रहा है? Yes. Okay. Go on.
okay, sorry for the interruption. I hope now you can see the screen. So, as part of our critical scientific inputs and from the data which have occurred from the communities and all, dugong conservation, the first dugong conservation.
Okay. How come it's? Hmm. I think we should remove. See, I know. Just do it like that. Let's just make two. Okay. Don't do go full screen.
Okay.
See, it comes. Okay, just no, no. Change slide.
Hello. Good. Okay. So, so as we told, the Dugong Conservation Reserve was came into on 2022 September 21, where it is first in India. Apart from that, uh, we have also conducted multiple outreach and around 500 plus outreach and awareness programs across Tamil Nadu, and also sanitized around 50,000 individuals. So we used to aware them about the importance of the seagrass and dugongs, why we have to protect them, and from them also we get to knowledge about the threats and what all where they have been seen. Like that, it's like an interactive session always. And also we have done capacity building programs for the departmental stakeholders like forest department, fisheries department, coast guard, Indian navies and all. We have also done drone training and stranding and rescue workshop also. So from these all data, people from this volunteer network program, as we started, people used to give data on whenever a dugong gets stranded across the coast. So this is the map showing the dead standings over the years. So we have around 107 of dead standing from 2016 to 2025, and a live sightings of 400 plus across the Tamil Nadu. So these all data we gathered from the volunteer network program, which we have started as part of our community engagement. And as we know, the threats main one of the main threats for the dugongs initial, like at the starting it was they were hunt for meat and all. So as a result of our community, I mean outreach and awareness program, people get to know more importance about the dugongs, how important it is to protect them. So people started rescuing it. So gradually from hunting, the people started rescuing the dugongs whenever they get entangled in their net and all. And also we started providing a felicitation program and financial and a felicitation program from the rescuers, which is an amount of 10,000 rupees, and it's very helpful and people started rescuing more. And you can see the graph of the number of rescues over the years from 2016 1 to from 2025 it become 11 rescuers. So that how the community engagement output has came into action in the field area. So these all are the major outputs which have got from through these outreach and awareness programs or the community engagement which have done across Tamil Nadu. Apart from that, from the dead standings, we also used to collect the gut samples and also the tissue samples for the analysis and all. So we got our first paper, Shweta, who is a colleague who, of me. She done a paper on the heavy metals present in the dugongs tissue samples. So it is one of the output which we got from this data, and also we also analyzed the gut content of the dugong standings. From that, we got to know that it prefers more the halodule species. So these all are as an output or result of these community engaged programs which we have done in the Tamil Nadu over the years. So this is just a small brief about what we have done in the Tamil Nadu coastal, I mean Tamil Nadu field site over the years. So now we get into today's main session, who have done more community works, more in touch with community and works across the Tamil Nadu, Dr. Balaji Vedarajan. So he is a marine biologist and the founder director of the Omkar Foundation, an organization dedicated to the marine biodiversity and conservation and community-based coastal management since 2007. His work focuses on seagrass ecosystem, dugong conservation, coastal habitat restoration, and strengthening sustainable livelihoods for fishing communities in the Parkway region of Tamil Nadu. He's passionate about creating awareness on marine ecosystems and adventure that brought him 1,100-kilometer bike expedition and 600-kilometer kayak expedition for marine habitat awareness in Tamil Nadu. His grassroots efforts initiated rescue and release of dugongs in Parkway with Tamil Nadu Forest Department in 2016. He conducted detailed seagrass mapping using acoustic techniques of seagrass beds with DST NRDMS and played a key role in preparing DPR for Dugong Conservation Reserve and proposes India's first Dugong Conservation Reserve motion at the IUCN World Conservation Congress in 2025. Through research, field-based conservation programs, and youth leadership initiatives, he continues to work closely with coastal communities, government agencies, and international partners to protect marine ecosystem and promote sustainable ocean stewardship. So, uh, I would like to hand over today's session to Dr. Balaji sir, and very happy to introduce him for today's session. So, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, okay. We'll remove and that. We are really sorry for all the technical glitches this time. I mean, there's some problem with our institute's network, and we are really sorry. But that would not, I think, that should not demotivate us or kill our spirit. We, with all enthusiasm, welcome Dr. Balaji. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good morning, madam. I'm fine.
How are you, sir? All right, sir. We'll get you on stage. Okay, go on.
Can you? Thank you. Can you see the screen, madam? Hello.
Yes, sir. We can see the screen. Please go on.
Yes, and thank
Alright.
you very much for this opportunity. And so my title is Participatory Seagrass Restoration in Park Bay, Tamil Nadu. Can you see the screen, madam? Shall I go?
Yes, yes. Please go
Yes,
on.
yes. Thank you. So the
Yes.
institute conservation efforts for dugong and its habitat started 20 years before. That is particularly in north side of Park Bay. The first dugong rescue and release was carried out by a forest range officer in Pattukotai range of Tanjore Forest Division in 2016 with the local fishing community, and that was the first video recorded all over India, the rescue and release of dugong and its calf. So that initiation point slowly then grown up into the next stage, and the WI took the initiative in the next 10 years from 2016. That actually helped to rescue and release the dugongs with the participation of community all over the coast of Park Bay. At the same time, the fishermen also involved in seagrass restoration method. So the work was given by Tamil Nadu Forest Department. So with the consultation of officers, we have developed a in situ seagrass restoration method using eco-friendly method, that is bamboo-based seagrass restoration, and we also developed coconut coir-based methods. I would like to explain how it is. The shore is actually in Dugong Conservation Reserve. You can see here the shoreline. We have a sandy and with Palmera. And if you come about 1 kilometer from the shoreline, the ball-shaped algal zone is there, that is dominated by Amphiroba fragilissima. At the same time, you can see other algal mass also, but the dominant species is Amphiroba species. Beyond this 1 kilometer area, except in few points, beyond this 1 kilometer up to 8 kilometer, a vast seagrass bed is present with some gaps in between. So this is the shore, and this is the nearshore waters. If you go for snorkeling in the nearshore water, you can see this Amphiroba fragilissima bed, and this is about 1 kilometer up to 7-8 kilometers. You can see mixed seagrass bed of different species. Very close to the shore, you can see this Halodyl pinifolia, and if you go slowly further than Inhala saccharides, then it is dominated by single species, that is Cymodosia cerulata. In 3 to 4 kilometer distance, it is mixed with well mixed with that is well mixed with the dugong grass. That is in Tamil they call is pannithalai. And if you go a little far away, in 7 to 8 kilometers, it's Holophila ovalis and other Holophila small species. So the seagrass restoration, the impact of seagrass restoration until now on the ground is in micro level, because you can see here this is one of the selected seagrass restoration site. It is 10 meter in 10-meter size, and the boat size you can see. So the see you can see the on the side of this picture, you can see this dark. It is by this is because of settlement of this Ampero fragilissima and other algal beds. What we did was to understand the size of seagrass bed in 2012 13 about 12 years ago. We got a project from NRDMS DST, and we did map the entire seagrass bed in Tanjore district. When we come for a seagrass restoration, we use the same technology to have a map of 500 square hectare area. So we put a small grid using the GIS software, using ArcGIS, and we use this in the boat to go along the grids continuously. And we also took samples using Bonbin crab and drop camera. So this is the map we got, but it doesn't say whether it's a seagrass or seaweed. So that we actually need to use these sampling methods. And this is the now in the recent times the drones are better methodology, up to 1.5 kilometers from the shoreline, because the visibility is because of the shallow water we are not able to do acoustic survey in near shore waters less than 2 meter. So up to 2 meter means it is about 1.5 kilometer from the shoreline. So the drones are now very good equipment that can bring the existing area of seagrass, seaweed, as well as open area. Not all the open area are meant to be for seagrass restoration. So the main threat here is dragnet in nearshore waters and trawlers in offshore. I will give more information about these nets. So how we selected the seagrass restoration site is by application of drone photogrammetry. So we took several photographs using a drone at a particular distance, and these photographs are stitched together using photogrammetric software to create a single image, that is stiff image. From this drone image, we have observed a different pattern of benthic habitat. You can see here it's very shallow. There are mangroves, a patch of seaweeds here, and from here you can we selected three sampling sites, and in each site we have triplicate samples using one main crab and drop camera. It has given us a clear idea of what kind of substrate based on the different color of RGB sensor. We have used very simple basic tone. So it is a photo based observation of different color and pattern of benthic habitat in nearshore waters to select the seagrass restoration site. So it's a very simple classification. That is, if we go species level, it has more variation, but the very simple classification is seagrass, no seagrass, and Ampero fragilissima. So what we have done is species selection for restoration is an important part. So there are different species available for restoration, but we have selected only two species that is dominant and also present in the gut content analysis of AA research project. So that is Syringodium isoetifolium, and another one is Cymodacea cerulata. So based on the distribution of seagrass species in adjacent meadows and gut content analysis of dugongs, we have selected only two species. So this is the data that is you can see here, that shows the sampling sites, the biomass of seagrass per gram per square meter and biomass of seaweed gram per square meter. So all this biomass of seagrass, you can see it is only for seagrass present offshore, about more than 1 kilometer or 700 meters from the shoreline. The nearshore waters is covered majorly by seaweed, not by seagrass. And the same sampling is help us to understand clearly the sand, silt, and clay pattern. So you can see here the more sand here on this side, and when compared, there are some clay area also. So these actually, the variation of sand, silt, clay help us to understand which seagrass is better. And we also identified the natural seagrass bed, and we took samples from these sites. It's the same site we have taken the samples for both sediments as well as for seagrass. So the same photogrammetric techniques was also used to demark 100-hectare area parallel to the shore in Pudukkottai district in PR Patnam, and we put 10 box shaped 100-meter and 100-meter size area. So the total size is only 1000 square meter. Within this 1000 square meter, we have collected the sprigs of seagrasses from the nearby area, adjacent area, and put it inside, and protect the site with the bamboo, and protect the site with the eucalyptus wood covered by nets to prevent any accidental entry of boats. So Diong turtle reward system was also successfully introduced at the same time by Tamil Nadu Forest Department. So this pioneering effort actually encourages the neighboring villages to adopt similar conservation practices. So the seagrass restoration is one of the branch of conservation efforts taken by Tamil Nadu Forest Department. The key effort is actually dugong and a turtle reward system that encouraged the fishermen to be part of this seagrass restoration. The community-based seagrass restoration actually promotes the gradual shift in fishing practices towards sustainable fishing in near future. We are actually progressing now. As you know, India is leading in the Indian Ocean region for marine conservation and blue carbon conservation in Asia. So these seagrass restoration efforts are evolving, and there are so many young people are now interested to be part of this seagrass restoration. I'm now back to the some calculation. So if we harvest 1 square meter of Syringodium isoetifolium, so we can spread into 5 square meter area. That means the harvest of rhizomes, each rhizome is cut into 10 centimeter length of small pieces, and these pieces are actually tied into jute ropes and then put again into the sea floor. So if we harvest 1 square meter of Halodyl pinifolia, we can spread about 10 to 12 square meter area. So the lowest survival rate of 50% square meter can increase to 5 times more seagrass cover by restoration. This is the theory behind, so that we have been working on the field in small scale. However, the site needs to be protected continuously because it is an open place. It is also a fishing area, and it has to be maintained regularly in the next 6 months. So if we measure the success rate in the first few months, it's very low. But the seagrass rhizomes takes time, seasons, and slowly they expand. Only when they are getting more better situation. For example, at least it has to pass on 1 year, 4 seasons. That's pre-monsoon, post-monsoon, monsoon, and summer. Then they will be slowly extend themselves. We also tried with this method, that is using coconut ropes, but this rope is practically little difficult, and there is a leach of some leach of chemicals from ropes, and I think we need more young people to do this research, because the coconut rope based method is also need more refinement. It is very low cost than bamboo frames. At the same time, the coconut ropes actually not settled well on the sea floor. Even we use these hooks to fix them on the sea floor. Because of tidal currents and sedimentation, gradually these ropes goes inside the mud, but the percentage of seagrass growth is better in bamboo frames than in coconut ropes. So one important aspect of seagrass restoration by Tamil Nadu Forest Department and Omkar Foundation is developing eco-friendly method from PVC. So earlier, 10 years before, the PVC frame was used in Gulf of Mannar. Later, when it comes to Park Bay, before the declaration of Digong Conservation Reserve, so Pudukkottai and Tanjavur DFO Sanvamkar Foundation discussed to reduce the to completely remove the PVC frames to be used on the seafloor. And when we introduced these bamboo frames, initially the fishermen were also trained and they actually involved, and they decided the optimum sizes of 1 meter. And so we everything was developed with the consultation of local community, including sites. So sites doesn't it doesn't not only mean for technical suitability, but also the community has to accept the sites where we have to put these seagrass frames. So it gives a participation responsibility. At the same time, dugong rescue release, green turtle rescue release happened, and the reward system introduced, and WAA came with awareness programs and incentives. On all the this entire collective effort of WAA, Tamil Nadu Forest Department, and OMCA Foundation on the ground gradually create a positive transformation on the ground. This eco-friendly method is now widely used, not widely used in selected areas of seagrass restoration. These are the photos involving the fishermen. So using bamboo frames instead of PVC frames. So seagrass restoration. However, I would like to mention that the success rate of seagrass restoration is low and uncertain due to various factors. We have to remove those factors that are affecting the seagrass restoration, and we need to further improve it. Once we accept these facts, and it actually helps us to find and help new solutions. And as of now, the seagrass restoration is expensive because it is an underwater work. Although we use the fishermen in shallow waters, and still the cost for seagrass restoration is higher, and good result in selected sites only. But some one of our site after 5 years shows very good seagrass growth. But other site are actually not showing good growth because of the disturbance by fishermen. The soil is not suitable, and we need more research project, and we have been working with only micro project, small scale project. And the research is the backbone for any kinds of in situ conservation to understand the truth. So we need to further a research project to develop seed-based seagrass restoration. And we also are now testing alternative method of seagrass restoration other than collecting seagrass bricks. So when compared to the size of natural seagrass beds and quantity of daily loss of seagrass by fishing practices, the truth is the actual seagrass restoration area is only in micro level and it's not significant. So the main problem here is the harvesting rhizomes from natural seagrass bed for restoration. Now, Tamil Nadu Forest Department is the Omkar Foundation is working with DFOs for using rhizomes from freshly washed ashore seagrass on the shore. So it will be completely eco-friendly method when we test and prove this method is good. At the same time, the dragnets and push nets that are operated, nearly 350 dragnets have been operated in Digong Conservation Reserve. There is no, it's a reliable alternative livelihood solution, and and we need to introduce a sustainable business model and social enterprise model into the system. Then only these fishermen can be slowly switched into drag nets. And the buyback system is also important in awareness and regulation. And fortunately, the fishermen are actually ready to stop drag nets. Only thing is they have a question in mind that what is the next option we are going to provide. If we provide a sustainable long-term livelihood support, definitely the drag nets will be slowly stopped in nearshore seagrass bed, that is dugong feeding habitat. So the site selection process, other than scientific aspect, as I mentioned, the community engagement in site selection is very important. And depth, freshwater flow, seasons, species, distance from the shore, distance from the donor site, survey and monitoring methods. These are the different factors we have to we have to consider when do the site selection. There are scientifically what we need is we need more university students and researchers to come to Pape to understand better. There are some criteria selecting restoration site, that is nutrient level, salinity, temperature, depth, light availability, turbidity, seasonal light variation, and shading effects. What we need is a continuous data collection and publications in this aspect. Only through the research and deep understanding of these factors we can further fine tune the restoration site, or we can decide whether the restoration is really required or not in the particular site. This is a baseline data collection. That is this actually shows the hope for young professionals and researchers to do the research on the ground in this aspect. So the timeline for seagrass restoration is usually it's community based, it's natural, and there is no urgency, because we work with the local community as well the nature. So the summer season is good for seagrass restoration, that is from March, April, May, June. Then pre-monsoon is for documentation and monitoring. So the fishermen will also busy, but in summer they have some times because of low fishing, and the fishing season is also like for 2 months they don't have a trawl net or drag net fishing. So this time is good for underwater seagrass restoration work. And pre-monsoon, then seagrass restoration is not possible in monsoon. So the fishermen will be very busy and active. And the post monsoon again, we go for the site selection and community training. So it is a seasonal flow of seasonal cycle of seagrass restoration, and mangrove restoration is alternative. And stakeholder engagement, the key strength of every step is government of Tamil Nadu is providing more support to local NGOs and involves the community in every steps. And they hear the voices from the local community and have a dialogue. And such approach is actually build a strong bond between the stakeholders. The WA project in the 10 years has its huge positive impacts on the grounds, and we look forward the WA team again back to Park Bay. And so monitoring and evolution. So the water quality monitoring, so nutrient levels. So you can see the maintenance of restoration site. It is also an expensive one. It is impossible to maintain the site more than 6 months. So we need actually to regulate the fishing practices that actually disturb the seagrass restoration site. So only for a small scale, we recommend the seagrass restoration practices is suitable only for small scale and community engagement. It doesn't mean that seagrass restoration is a failure, but this method has its pros and cons. So based on the understanding, we can do it in a community level, in a small scale. At the same time, we should not do a huge seagrass restoration project in a short time or in 5 years or 10 years. The reason is the oldest natural seagrass bed or clonal organisms, which means the seagrass rhizomes expand continuously and they develop the clones. So if we want, if it is better, I request young professional here, come down Parkway. So estimate the age of seagrass bed in Parkway. It is not taking in one sample or two samples. The entire meadow that is interlinked and connected, even for square kilometers level, has to be studied. So once we understand the meadow size, it will improve it will improve the significance of conservation of the seagrass bed, not just for dugongs, but this meadow is important for the primary productivity and livelihood of our fishermen. That is why for huge seagrass restoration project, design is not suitable for Parkway. And if we take continuously the routes for seagrass restoration, that has not as a complete successful method. So we need to be very careful disturbing the donor site. Taking hundreds or 200 years of old seagrass rhizomes for a seagrass restoration project in large scale will really risk the natural seagrass bed. Dragnets, when the Digong Conservation Reserve was declared, there was community meetings happened between the government and the community and the stakeholders. So the fishermen were afraid of a ban on any fishing practices. So according to the Digong Conservation Reserve, when declared, it was informed that there is no ban on any fishing practices from the government side. As an NGO, we also part of it. Now we have successfully rescued or released the dugongs. No hunting in this place. Fisherman takes photos and videos of on rescue and release, and so the successful model is established and it's globally recognized now. Now we are in a progressing towards the next step, that providing better alternative solution to these fishermen, so that they can be completely stopping these drag nets, and they will be part of his seagrass restoration. And this is possible. About 350 fishermen are doing drag nets, and the steps are already on the way. The plan is already on the way, I think. So in near future, once we do the complete seagrass conservation by removing the threats, the restoration can be a small part of it wherever it required. So this is my conclusion. The removing the threats to the seagrass habitat in Dion Conservation Reserve is very important, and protection of existing seagrass meadows is the first priority. And seagrass restoration is a slow, long-term process which binds community with seagrass conservation. It is true. However, it should not be replicated in large scale in short period. We don't need a success. We need a real progress on the ground, which is very important for nation building. So the seagrass restoration site selection should be based on the science-based systematic approach. We need more and more young people from universities across India come join us, and we build a role model, and so that we can get researchers and learners and knowledge sharings, and we also learn from other countries. We need to build a partnership with the national and international universities. And alternatively innovative method is being initiated by Tamil Nadu Forest Department, and government of Tamil Nadu is open to new ideas and conservation efforts on the ground with the government. With this, I would like to conclude my session, and I really thank Wildlife Institute of India, Government of India, and the Government of Tamil Nadu, and for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us not just an overview, but a deep take on your work. And it was extremely as informative as it was. Um, we do have some questions. And but before we take
Yes.
questions, we'd like to congratulate you. Uh, this kind of work takes a lot of time, and not just time, it just takes patience to do and continue your work here. I mean, you have said it yourself, the restoration work in itself takes a lot of time, the monitoring and and whether to determine the restoration has been successful or not. I mean, even declaring that takes a lot of time. So I think a lot of awareness at local level has happened in Park Bay and Kakamana region because of your work. And thank you, sir, for that. We have one question. We have from Akarsh. What are the biggest environmental challenges you faced during restoration, as the waters of Park Bay is mostly turbid with frequent cyclonic activities?
Yes, the cyclone we faced in the last 20 years is 2018 Gaja cyclone. But that cyclone was enough to sweep and damage huge seagrass bed. That is one fact. Second one is the turbidity. The seagrass ecosystems in north side of Parkway and Dugong Conservation Reserve are very well adapted to the conditions, that is turbidity, that says both seasonal and diurnal tidal flow. So the turbidity is not an issue for a seagrass restoration because we collect only the species that are growing already in turbid waters. The real fact is, but however, the seagrass species selection is very important. If we select the very small species and this turbidity actually yeah, the deposition of sediments quickly on this seagrass restoration site actually, for example, the smallest species is making very difficult. um, so this is what the biggest, and we don't say it's the biggest environmental challenges, but this is how the nature actually here already. It is not the challenge, but we actually need to understand which is better, which season is better. That is why we do the seagrass restoration in summer where there is low turbidity, low freshwater flow, so the water is much better and clear than doing it in high turbid monsoon season.
I mean, the seasonal consideration, as important that it is, I think the consideration of natural, disturbances goes beyond that. I mean, if you have a freshly restored site, or you've just um, you've just finished your restoration work, and it is all taken away by a subsequent, cyclonic activity or a dragnet. So you need to be, we can stay aware about that, but we cannot control it completely. I
Yes, ma'am.
think, yes, yes. Um, all right. So I mean, we had a couple of questions from here. So how we understand that the seagrass meadows in Park Bay are extremely dense meadows, and they are homogeneous meadows. Some parts of them even going as far as Sri Lankan waters. So we understand that your restoration work is limited to shallow subtidal waters, but how transferable do you think um, these methods can be to, say, the Andaman sites, where it's light saturated meadows, and how transferable do you think your methods can be to other sites in across Southeast Asia? So just we can take it Andaman, yes.
Yes, and the method we do is the same. I think we can do it in
Yeah.
other places. The
Yes.
time, expenses, and the effort when we go for the
Yeah.
deeper and the distance from the shore is increased.
Think
Uh,
increases.
yes, it actually the cost as well as the effort is higher.
Yeah. So, by my understanding, restoration methods, any kind of restoration methods, whatever methods you take, I mean, if it's the more intertidal and accessible and it is, and monitoring positive or monitoring friendly it is, it's cheaper. And as you go deeper and deeper in the subtidal meadows, and it takes more diving effort, it gets expensive to not just restore but also monitor.
Yes, ma'am. And one side, it's from our perspective, research
Yes.
perspective, it's easier. But the real question is, the site really record the restoration or not? For example,
Mm.
a site that is in the front line of seagrass bed is exposed to huge natural damage. As Mr. Akarwal mentioned, it may be affected by any kind of natural disaster. If that site required a restoration, and we have to do a proper survey and understanding. Then we have to do that on the particular site.
All right, sir. Um, so we've talked about restoration, but um, you've also talked about how protection should be our first priority and restoration should be our last, because we can't restore very big. This is not a scalable method where we want to restore, hundreds of hectares of areas. We can't do that. That's not just expensive but also detrimental to the local meadows. So, in your like by your, I mean, I want your perspective on this. Would you promote, active protection methods than restoration, or should restoration be done by side by side?
Yes, ma'am. This is based on the need of nature. Nature is like it's a very big system. Imagine it's like a human being, whether really it needs a treatment, whether or it just take care of them safely. That is very important. It's based on that is why the research and monitoring is very important to understand the health of that eco habitat. So the first priority is to keep them healthy, remove the threats, and so the ecosystem will perform. The ecosystem services will be good. That is the first priority always, because our coast for hundreds and thousands of years, the having dugongs and seagrass bed, and now the human is now going to understand how they behave, how the ecosystem is functioning. It's a very recent advancement in the from the last century and into 21st century. Imagine they have been here for hundreds and thousands of years, and the dugong here for few crores of years, which means the systems already deeply rooted in our geography. That is the temperature, climate, and they know everything than us. And so we just have to understand the human intervention or any human activities, how it affected, or any natural calamities affects, whether it can naturally return back without any restoration effort. Any restoration practices can be started only after 10 years of cyclone, because first 10 years we have to let them to wait to heal, and the nature slowly return back, and they will only when we need for restoration we can do the restoration. The first priority is protecting the existing sites, understand what are the threats, remove the threats, and monitor if there is a need, and we can do the restoration. And the restoration techniques is also a question. So we have to understand which method is more sustainable long term, even if it is small scale. The reason why the small scale restoration will work means, if you establish a seagrass meadow using the eco-friendly community based method, within after 5 years, the maximum 5 years, the meadow will be completely established. Like you plant a ginger in a small pot and it will grow and expand naturally. So that kind of idea is actually for our restoration part, eco-friendly. Once we do the restoration, and we just have to wait it planted, it rooted well, and the rhizomes will live forever for a long time, and the clones will be expanded for next few hundred years. So the restoration is a second. The first priority is protection of existing seagrasses. And
Okay.
kindly let me to add one point. Our coast, for example, in Park Bay, it has a very good sunlight, good nutrient flow from the river Kaveri every season, and the water is very shallow, no waves. So we have all the suitable conditions for natural seagrass bed. So restoration is the last part if something is really happened to the system.
Yes. Yes, yes. We have another question. How
Please, ma'am.
important is this restoration process of seagrasses? As Park Bay area has a good seagrass meadow available for now, is restoration necessary in the current scenario?
The restoration, what we do is in the degraded site, because of a threat that is caused by uh, uh, dragnets. The particular, that is the mechanized boats continuously operated. and those sites have a low seagrass restoration, and the fishermen told us that this site once had a seagrass bed healthy because of continuous operation. That's why we put some protection and trying to get it back again. So this method is important because it provides us a opportunity to discuss the methodology and how we can improve further. In the long term view, you know that the frequency and of cyclones and number of cyclone in near future will be increased. The intensity also will be increased. In that case, we have the responsibility to understand what kind of restoration method we can develop, that is seed based restoration methods. So the restoration effort ongoing is not a complete successful, or it is not an end result. It is an evolution process from PVC frames to bamboo and using natural sprigs to washed ashore sprigs, that is seagrass wreck on the beach. So restoration is a science, it is a conservation science, it is a part of conservation evolving in our country, and we have to keep it very small until it gets complete success rate.
Wonderful, sir. We have another question. Is that what are all the factors considered in selection of species for seagrass restoration? Is sediment a major factor in the restoration process?
From our perspective, that is, that has to be a part of dugong gut, that is dugong gut content analysis
Yes.
report from WI. That is the primary factor. And the second one is the seagrass already has to be widely distributed, so it is not one species, that is in Halus acroides, that is growing in a shallow water, that has to bring out its flower on the surface for aerial yes, reproduction. And so we cannot plant this seagrass bed in 10 feet depth. So depth is an important factor and the distance from the shore. And if we go to that area that is beyond the eutrophication site, and you can see wide dispersal, natural presence of Cymodus cerulata and Syringodium isoetifolium. So these are the wide species already present, and already they are well accommodated, well adapted with seagrass, well adapted with the sedimentation process, because they're growing here for a long time. So we select only those species at present. We also tried to grow seagrasses in tanks for experimental with the support of Tamil Nadu Forest Department. We collected different species, put it in the tank, and maintain it for 6 months. Out of six species, only one species was live, and that is Syringodium was only very few success rate, and Enhalus. But what the beauty of this one species we never considered for seagrass restoration, that is Holodil pinifolia. These seeds came with the sediments and they grow naturally without any effort. So that is how the nature actually told us that if you want to grow in a tank, the Holodil pinifolia, the Holodil species is very good than other species on the shore-based experiments.
Wonderful, sir. Um, think that's all for the question. Okay, yes, but you made a very good point. I think we once our dugong stranding complete report on dugong gut analysis comes out, which is already indicating the presence, like dugong is selectively foraging for halodule and Halophila ovalis. So again, I mean, that should be a target oriented, like a site specific restoration if you are going to consider the gut species, the active, the species that dugong is selectively foraging on and then restoring the same species. I don't think that would work every single site. But do you think the same, or do you have a different opinion on this? Like, should we
Uh,
just restore only the preferred species everywhere?
no, the species is completely different from site to site, not similar.
Yeah.
Yes, a
Yeah.
seagrass
But
restoration
still,
is
if
not.
we are doing active dugong conservation, so
Mhm.
we want to invite dugongs to all these restored sites. So would you go and
And
just
from our knowledge, seagrass restoration may be linked with the species found in the gut content, but
Yeah.
there is not a significant contribution towards dugong conservation through seagrass restoration. It needs more in years of research. Until now, it is not a complete solution for providing food. Imagine a dugong as it eats 40 to 50 kg of seagrass every day, and the effort we grow, it takes like 3 4 years for 10 meter in 10 meters area. So it needs more research and advancement and refinement in your future.
And Dugongs are very, there's some population, there are some individual within the population that are resident, and then there are some that go and explore more. But the one thing that remains common among all the population globally is that they are very optimal in their use of habitats. So even that
Mhm.
we need to consider before we do this kind of
Sure,
conservation.
sure. Mhm.
So, um, so I one last question before we move on.
Please.
What concerns you the most? What are the point source of pressure, anthropogenic pressure that are controllable and you wish they are gone?
It is not a concern. It is the focused approach. What we can do in the next 10 years. That is what I would like to suggest, and we actually need more young professionals to come on the ground, and our country needs more young professionals, field biologists, and the job security and the assurance of those people, young people, into scientific system and PhD scholars is very important. Once we've built a strong young professionals in conservation, marine conservation, and they will actually lead, because in the last 10 20 years, 25 years, we have been come across from nothing to this level in a global scale. So when we build the young professionals with good salary, our government kindly consider to provide better salary, better job opportunity, better projects, and so they will work on the day night and make more research. Whatever I speak to you is based on the past experience, but the future is really with the hands of young professional, young conservationists, those who are dreaming to become marine biologists, who wants to walk in the country. We have 11,000 kilometers of coastline. Once we have a strong team of young professionals in the next few years, then they will lead take to the another level. And like we have a great achievements in space, and now we are going to deep sea level, and at the same time these nearshore water is a lifeline for hundreds and hundreds of families and fishermen, and these are very important for the endangered species like dugongs. And we have to focus and consider particularly on this aspect, providing better job opportunities and scope and confident with for young professionals who wants to become marine biologists. It will change everything, I hope.
Yes, I never considered that as an anthropogenic pressure, but that's very well said, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What's your favorite seagrass species to work on? Like the one that you get always excited to see on field?
uh, that is Syringodium isoetifolium.
Ah, okay. I,
Yes,
I I know why you mentioned it several times.
yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much for giving us a very lengthy and informative talk. And I am sure one time the dream of you of having a huge cross-institutional, team of researchers will come true. And I all the best, sir, for your work and to all your dream. And congratulations for it too. And thank you again, sir. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. With this, we end our week-long webinar series on dugong conservation and habitat restoration. I hope you found something, at least some part of it useful. Just kidding. But I hope you, or especially the early careers and students who want to pursue their careers into dugong conservation and habitat restoration, that you found some part of it useful and you'll pursue it and read about it more, and never stop reading about it more. And I hope this will also enhance networking across the Southeast Asian region. And please never stop talking about seagrasses or dugongs. They are uh, the kind of taxa that's never never gets up, put into limelight. They're never in the limelight. Mostly people talk about, well, here, if I'd say that if dugongs had orange stripes or yellow stripes, they'll be talked about more often. But they're not. They're not tigers. They're just dugongs, plain dugongs. But having said that, they're extremely intelligent organisms. They're extremely, decisive, and they're strategic organisms living in our waters. And we have thousands and thousands of years of history of them in our waters and the habitats in our waters. So never stop talking about it, and we hope to see you next year. And please don't stop your efforts in talking about them and creating awareness campaigns for them and researching regarding the same for you. Thank you all. And with that, we end it. Thank you so much.